Yes, people, welcome back to week 2 predictions on the Only Yaya. And on this week predictions, not only are we bringing you fantasy Premier League predictions, but we also bringing you what we think of what the results of the matches are going to be. We're going to bring you some remarks from Enzo Maresca and his reply about Chelsea's activity in the transfer window. We're going to be talking about EZE to Arsenal and what Oliver Glasner had to say about that. We're going to be talking about Nuno Espirito Santo, one of my favorite managers, and his what he had to say about Nottingham Forest and their transfer activity. A brave man, in my opinion, man, for what he said about the owner. And also, we're going to be talking about the Isak derby, Manchester United, everything all happening this week on the Oniaya. So let's jump straight into it right away. So these are the games that are on this week. As we see, West Ham, Chelsea, Man City, Tottenham. City has struggled a lot against Tottenham, so I'm quite excited to speak a bit about that. We have Bournemouth and Wolves. We have Brentford, Aston Villa, Burnley and Sunderland, which is the relegation battle, and this is a very important point for either team. We have Arsenal and Leeds. Arsenal, as we know, against Leeds has probably beaten them over the last 15 to 16 times. They haven't lost against Leeds. And then we have Crystal Palace and Nottingham Forest. This will be a very tactical battle. It might be a bit of a boring football game, but it's still exciting to watch boring football games if you really love the sport. And also, we're going to see Everton moving into their new stadium. I'm excited to talk about that. Fulham versus Manchester United. You know, the Red Devils looking for their first 3 points. And Newcastle versus Liverpool, the Alexander Isak derby. Now, before we jump into everything so in depth, my people, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the page. Keep hitting the bell for notifications so we can keep bringing you great content going forward. So, as we've seen, Enzo Maresca had this Chelsea plays West Ham in the first kickoff of the week for the Premier League. Enzo Maresca had this to say in terms of his reply to whether Chelsea is targeting centre-backs in the window. Now, for a lot of y'all that don't know, Chelsea's had a injury to Levi Colwill over the last week or so, which means that they are struggling with centre-backs because also they have injuries to Chalobah. Tosin is coming back from an injury scare. So there's a lot of injuries to the back line, which is why he's being asked questions about this. Also, we know that Chelsea just goes and buy players all the time. So it wouldn't be a surprise if we saw them go out and buy another high, top-level centre-back. But this is what he had to say to the reporter about that matter.
Back, are you confident that you will get one in by the end of the month?
I already said that we are looking for internally solution, and I showed that last game against Palace, and we see what's happened.
But you are looking externally as well, presumably.
We are trying with, as I said already many times, to find solution.
Is everybody on the same page? Is that now of the players you want to bring in? Is that now the priority for everybody at the club to get a centre back?
Well, if you could.
So, Enzo Maresca basically said that they're not really targeting anyone, as they should have enough quality within the team to deal with that situation. Now, we might not be happy with Chelsea not going in the market again. In terms of Chelsea fans, may not be happy. But that doesn't stop Chelsea from going out and actually creating an environment of winning, 1. 2, I don't see any way West Ham beats Chelsea. But what I can see is a way that West Ham finds a way to cause Chelsea trouble in terms of the pressing. Now, West Ham is struggling right now, but I don't think it's that much of a problem for them in terms of where they finish in the table this season. I don't think they're going to get relegated, but I think West Ham needs to build a bit of, let's say, momentum in order for them to get back up the table. Now, this just shows that this club, West Ham, has been poorly run because they fired David Moyes, who won them their first trophy in so many years because they wanted to play this so-called attractive football. And then now they can't even win a bloody football game. And it just shows that sometimes, when fans run them out and clubs listen to these fans, and I get it, like, at the end of the day, the fans are the one that help the club generate income in order for them to keep the club running, right? But that doesn't mean that you have to listen to them to a point where they allow you to put the club in a position to fail. Why would you fire a manager because he doesn't play this so-called attractive football? He won you your first trophy. He probably made you sell your player for the highest amount of money you have done in the history of your club. Because if it wasn't for David Moyes and Declan Rice winning that European trophy, he wouldn't have been a £100 million player. That European win, him helping West Ham win the first trophy in such a long time, and being an integral part of that, is what inflated his price also to 100 million. So we have to respect some of these managers and stuff when we go about this way of trying to just fire manager. But talking about firing managers, we're talking about now Thomas Frank and Spurs and what is going on over there. Now up top here you can see EZE as well being advertised on the advertising board. I haven't said, but this board is actually other videos that I have released that I'm just promoting on the top. So you can always click on the other videos and check it out if you feel like. But yeah, Tottenham versus Man City. Now, Thomas Frank went into this club after Ange Postecoglou was fired by Tottenham, right? In my opinion, it's a very good appointment in terms of they're going to have a set style of play, for sure, which was never a problem for Tottenham because Ange Postecoglou, let's not get it wrong, he had his style of play, but the problem was it just was too expensive for the Premier League. And I just don't think he was a good enough manager to manage in the Premier League. Now, he won a European trophy, but I also think that was based on the quality of Tottenham and the poor quality of Manchester United in the final that allowed him to have that status of a European champion manager. But at the end of the day, it benefits us in the Asian Pacific, especially in Australia, because he's an Australian Greek manager. So it benefits this area. It would help the league grow. It's going to bring a lot more attention to the A-League, hopefully. And maybe they might now think about how they can restructure the football in Australia in order to help the football grow. Now, Thomas Frank, as I'm saying, very good manager, high level, good quality. I think that he's going to struggle in this game against City. The way Man City is moving at the moment is a machine that cannot be stopped. I promise you. I don't see many teams within Europe stopping City this season. And it's crazy because based on quality, they probably don't have as many exciting players like they used to do before. But in terms of technicality, in terms of different ways in which they can play, the dynamism, so many things about City I feel this season is going to make us appreciate Pep and appreciate also the level and the quality of football in which this team plays. So City, just a fun fact for you, haven't won at Spurs Stadium for the last 6 times. City haven't beaten Spurs since 2020. So this just means and shows that I think this is one of City's bogey teams. And that is okay because City usually have a one team per season over a few seasons that just cause them so many issues. You know, that used to be like a Stoke for Arsenal. Always, this team would just, I don't know, man. But it's just how it is. Some teams are just bogeys, like a Wolves for United. 1-0 for years, United used to lose to Wolves. Like, some teams are just bogey teams, and you just can't do anything about that. Now, talking also on this week's preview, let us talk about Tottenham and failure. Let us also speak about Bournemouth and Wolves, right? Bournemouth, now, big up to you, Antonio Semenyo, for fighting against racism, right? And not really fighting against racism, but being the bigger man and keep playing and scoring 2 goals. Not making it an issue, not blowing it up. You know, I didn't even really see him come out with so many comments after talking about it. It was more the media. And that's why I respect Semenyo for. He heard the remark, he said it, he dealt with it, he scored 2 goals. Now, can you imagine a man who is disabled is being a racist? Bro, you're in a wheelchair talking crazy. Like, come on, man. Like, sometimes when you see people in conditions, right, you can't feel sorry for them, because as much as our heart, the empathetic part of our body, wants to help these people, sometimes it's their bad habits and the bad ways about them is the reason why they're where they are. And then you're looking at a man who's in a wheelchair, everyone would see him, probably help him, probably look out for him. You know, especially in the world we live in now, people actually really look out for people with disabilities right now. You could have a broken finger, you can claim disability. It's that much of scrutiny right now, and this is why so many people, I don't even think they're genuine. They just do it because it's so-called a good thing to do. But then when you see a man in a wheelchair being a fucking racist, bro, come on. Like, do better, man. But anyway, Semenyo scored 2 goals against Liverpool and then now was racially abused. And now they're playing against Wolves. Now, Wolves, on the other hand, is another team that have massive issues. You know, I don't think Wolves' manager is going to last there or be there for the next season if he doesn't get the buys that he wants. I don't think they need to go in the market. They actually didn't look bad against City. Don't get me wrong. And that's why I know if Wolves go in the market, they might be a force, bro. They might actually be a problem. They might be one of those teams that take 3 points once in a while off of the people, the teams that are challenging for the title. I'm telling you, I can see them being that team if they get a few, just 1 or 2 buys inside of their system. You know, they had City pinged up. Yes, City played well. Yes, City scored 4 goals, but it was not a 4-0 game. Wolves had very good opportunities. Wolves missed very good chances. And anybody else believe this like me? Why does Wolves look like they have a centre-back playing as a striker? Yo, I just don't get it. I can't remember the player's name. But why does he look like he's playing as a striker? You know what I mean? Hey, let's look it up right now. Wolves, number 5. Yo, why does he look like he's playing? Come on, internet, work with me. Marshall Montesi. Yes. Montesi. Yo, why does he look? This guy actually looks like he's a fucking centre-back. But yeah, Wolves versus Bournemouth is another game that is going to excite us, as that is more like of the mid-table teams of the league, and I can see this being an exciting football game. Maybe not in terms of goals, But in terms of entertainment, intensity, both teams going after each other with little or no respect, I can see it being very exciting. Now, talking about no respect, it's now the relegation battle teams, which is Sunderland and Burnley. Now, respect to Sunderland, man. I put my hands up right now. I honestly thought you guys would have came to the league and probably get smashed most games. But watching you at your stadium, watching the intensity in which you guys played, and also watching how quickly you moved in the market over the last week, the talent you have, the Ndingras, the Xhakas, you actually really excited me. And I think that you guys might just be able to pull yourself out of the relegation zone and fight for a place to stay in the Premier League. It's amazing because 2 weeks ago I had you guys actually getting relegated, but based on what I've seen over the first week, and don't get me wrong, it's just week 1, but just the people you bought, because Ndingra haunted the league last season. He's not the greatest finisher, and probably that's why Brighton was like, if we have to have Minta or Ndingra, we're probably going to keep Ndingra. But Ndingra is a good Premier League player, and he's young, so he can develop into something even better. And if it's one thing we don't have a problem with Ndingra is, he is willing to take on anyone at any time. So I think Sunderland have a very good player in Ndingra, and I think with Xhaka, with his experience, and a few others around them building that connection, I think they have a chance to stay up. Now, I can't say the same for Burnley. Burnley, yes, they've got the player Sinister from Bournemouth, and they have quality, some nice players around, but they have Hannibal Mergery from Manchester United, so they do have quality players as well, right? But just watching them play on the weekend, I just don't see how Burnley is going to be able to not be relegated. And that's not me being harsh. That's not me being a dickhead. That's not me being no-how, but just telling you the truth. I am not going to sit here and lie based on what I've seen. There's a lot of teams in the Prem that I think the relegation battle for the Prem is going to be as exciting and as big as the title challenge. Because as much as people want to make it seem like there's only 2 or 3 teams in this title race, bro, I actually think there's at least 6 teams in this title race. And we have to really just look after the 5, 6 to 10 weeks and then make a judgment based on the quality of the teams. But we are going to see this season a lot of the big teams actually flex their muscle this season and show why they are big teams and win a lot of games. Games will be exciting, yes, but I feel like the results for a lot of the big teams are going to win a lot of games this season. Not only that, a lot of the smaller teams have gotten buys that have made them better. But, okay, look for instance, Manchester United, right? When you look at Manchester United, they've brought in Cunha and Mbeumo, which are 2 of the best players in the league. They finished 15th. Whereas now you still have Villa, Newcastle, all these teams that still have their players from last season and looking to bring players in this season. You have Liverpool doing the same, City doing the same. So all these teams are going to be stronger this season. Chelsea. And they're going to win a lot of football games. No doubt. So Arsenal versus Leeds, talking about another relegation battle team in Leeds, not Arsenal. They're on the other side of the table. So based on what I just said before, we're going to see an exciting relegation battle, but also an exciting title challenge by all teams. This is the game that epitomized it in Arsenal versus Leeds. So Leeds, I said, I think and thought that they would have stayed up in the Premier League. And I still actually do think they can fight. It's either them or Sunderland. I don't think Burnley has a chance at all. It's either them or Sunderland. One of those teams, one actually needs to stay up for the Premier League. But two, I think they will stay up. I just think both of them have a little bit more quality than Burnley in order for them to stay up. Now, this is the battle of a Victor Gyökeres and a Dominic Calvert-Lewin and for me. And Calvert-Lewin haven't played in so long, so he probably won't even start for Leeds. So that's just me gassing y'all up. But I just said that to just get on the Arsenal fan skin to make the comparison. But there's no comparison between Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Nicolas Gyökeres. Now, I do think a Dominic Calvert-Lewin can go to the Portuguese league and score 20 plus goals a season, easily. Once he stays fit, he can score those goals. There's no doubt. But Gyökeres will score 20, I think, in the Premier League. I just think for this season for Arsenal, not saying solely in the Prem, but for sure in all comps, I reckon he'll score 20 plus goals. So, Leeds play with a high intensity, and Arsenal are going to try to, this game, have a bit more possession, keep the ball, slow down the pace of the game. They have to do that. You know, they also bringing in a new player in EZE, so I'm sure he'll probably be announced by the game. And then now they're going to, do the whole announcement and speak about it. And I just think that in order for Arsenal to fit players like EZE and Odegaard and Zubomendi and these really technical players, even the Miles Lewis Skelly and so, if they really want to have these players in their team, they have to have a lot more possession than what they had against United. This 60-something% possession ain't going to cut it, bro. Hear me, 60-something%. This 30-something%, 40% possession against teams going, especially when you're away from home, ain't going to cut it. Because you can't just go and play this sort of set-piece type of football, hoping that this gets you out every time. There comes a time when it doesn't, and then you lose points, and then you don't know how to do it. So you actually, as a team, need to find different ways of playing, yes, which I agree, set pieces is a big part of the football game now. But also, we have to also be aware that Arsenal just needs to keep the ball a lot better than what they did against United. There's no team winning the league again playing counter-attacking football that easy. You have to have long spells of the game where you dominate the ball in football now. It's just a necessity. There will never be again another Leicester City. It's impossible. So, Leicester City, okay, won the league playing with a Mahrez and a Vardy in transition. It's not the same anymore. Teams don't allow teams that play that way to win football games at all anymore. You have to, even the teams that want to play on the counter, have to have spells of possession within the game where they dominate possession, where they pin the team back, where they have spells where they have the ball, because you can't play football anymore just trying to hit teams in transition. Teams are too good one-on-one. Defenders are better now, I think, on a one-on-one because they're faster. They can actually run down their players a lot more. Players before were fast, but they weren't as electric and as quick off the ball as they are now. So centre-backs now, with all these weird ways of playing, with having the ball on your feet, one-on-ones all the time, it's exciting, you know? And when you look at exciting football and you look at development of football and stuff, it makes me talk about this next game. Oliver Glasner versus Nuno Espirito Santo. Now, these are two of my favorite managers. As you can tell, I just got so excited to speak about them. I've been a big Nuno fan for, who knows, man. so long, bro. Trust me, a big fan. Especially when he came to the Premier League the first time with Wolves. That man made me respect him so much. You remember, the world will never forget the Vitinhas, the Diego Jotas, the Raul Jimenez. Bro, the quality in which this man had at this team. And how, you remember Ruben Diaz. Wow. The quality in which this man had. And remember, and the baller of them all. Don't forget this guy, people. Please. João Moutinho. Hey, remember João Moutinho? Remember the quality that Nuno brought to the Premier League with all these Portuguese players. He can't hate the man. El Portugalo. De Santo. And then when you look now, not only he did that, then now he came back with Forest, got them European football. This man is excellent. This man is high quality of a football coach. And we need to actually respect him because I feel like he's like a pop now in the Premier League. You know, you have to put Nuno in with the David Moyes and these managers, elders that you can tell just based on how they manage, they're so experienced. So experienced. But then you have a younger manager on the other side in Oliver Glasner, who, you know, is one of my favorites since he was at Frankfurt the first year, even when they didn't do as well. But how he went into that team, how he molded that team, how he brought out players like Kamara and Jokic and Kawhi Lumanis and all these young talents that this guy just showed the world that, you know, I can develop young talent. And then he went to Crystal Palace and did the same. But he was not happy about what the media had to ask him about EZE. And this is what he had to say, and the reason why. One, I don't know, but EZE didn't play in Crystal Palace's game today. So he basically said that he was ill. Bro, he really pulled that one. EZE really fucking pulled that one, bro. He told the manager that he was ill. Mentally and physically. Gangster move, man. But yeah. So EZE pulls that one on Glasner, and this is what he had to say about the situation, yeah? Let's listen to it.
Tell you the truth, yesterday, so I expected him to play. Today he called me that he doesn't feel well and can't play in the evening, and that's why he didn't play.
Did he say he didn't feel well physically or mentally?
Overall.
Was it to do with his frame of mind, with everything that's going on?
We have to ask him.
You can't ask him, obviously.
Maybe in a few days. But
Do you think he'll play for Crystal Palace again?
no.
What do you know about the latest with him? It looks like it's going to be Arsenal, right?
Again, I'm responsible for Crystal Palace, and I think he won't play for us again, so I have to prepare the team for Nottingham and for the second leg against Fredrikstad, and I'm planning without Everechi.
Steve Parish has just said the king is dead, long live the king, referring to EZE leaving the club. So if the chairman's saying it, then I guess it's fairly well confirmed.
Aye, so EZE to Arsenal, officially, he has been confirmed by the manager here, yeah? So he's basically saying that he thought that EZE would have at least played this game to allow them to get the qualification, and then he could leave, you know. So he was planning to have him, maybe give him a good send-off, make the fans clap him off, and, you know, give him a time to enjoy the, you know, being respected and the fans understanding that this guy done a lot for Crystal Palace. But EZE pulled the fucking sick card, man. EZE say he's sick mentally and physically. So there's so much the manager can really do, right? And then now, not only that, but he was also not happy when they asked him about, they asked him about, so, like, are you going to, what about the situation with, the transfers and stuff, this is what he had to say, because he's not happy about that either. And not only is not he happy about that, but his other manager he's playing against this weekend isn't happy about that. So I'm going to also play a video from Nuno saying, bro, this is stupidness. Like, we are definitely not ready either. But listen to what this guy had to say first.
I think we could have done much better than we did. It's no criticism, it's just telling facts, This group of players is really working so hard in every single game. Today we had 17 on-field players available, one from the academy, 2 players we already told that they should leave the club, so that means we have 14. Yeah, and having 6 games from 10th of August until the 31st. And this group, I know we can rely on them, I trust them completely, but it's really, let's say, not the best way you should start into the season. With the results, yes, of course, 3rd game.
Now, please, first of all, we need to give Uncle Jose, Uncle Antonio Conte, Sir Alex Ferguson, and these managers a lot of we have to congratulate them for creating a platform that now allow young managers like this to be able to go and talk to their owners the way they do. I remember when managers like what I just called before did what they did and criticized their clubs. The Mourinhos, the Contes, the Fergusons. People looked at them like they're crazy. They're crazy. But these managers are doing the same thing now, and it's mad, because I remember there was a point in time in the league when managers would shut the fuck up. They wouldn't say a word about things like this. So for me to see a manager now just come out openly, his 2nd year in the job, I mean, he is flexing his muscle because he won Crystal Palace, their first trophy. So I do get it. But just for me to see managers now coming out and just talking about their owners and criticizing their owners and being very critiquing their owners to levels in which you'll never see. Like, it's crazy. Now, Nuno did the same thing. Nuno did the same thing. Listen to what he had to say now about Nottingham Forest.
We are very far, very, very far from where we should be. We are very far.
The managers getting out. Yo. The managers are getting out of hand. Right now they say whatever they want. They getting out of hand. They getting out of hand. This man and all doing the same thing. We're not prepared. And he better be careful now. Nuno! Be careful, bro. Oh, hey, you remember your owner is a mafia boss, the father. Oh, what a joking time! Hey! No, remember, fucking ask Morgan Gibbs White, bro. Ask Morgan Gibbs White. When he get the hairdryer treatment, he ain't turning back. He signed a new contract. Be careful, Nuno. Be careful, son. Be careful, Pops. Can't afford for you to leave the league again right now. Love seeing you in the Premier League, Nuno. Love it.
In terms of planning, in terms of squads. So we are all very worried that 2 or 3 days' time we are playing for the Premier League, the more demanding competition in the world. And we are very far, very, very far. The plans that we had didn't come true. The preparation was,
you can also tell
in terms of squad, was not ideal. We didn't have a chance to create what I think is more important, is the bond, because we don't know which squad we have.
Never worry about
we
money.
have players working here.
Maybe that's why.
That know they're gonna live on loan. We have a major problem. It doesn't have to be if you play Europa League or you play Conference League. You know that you're gonna have a new challenge ahead of us. So, in terms of preparation, nothing changed. Was what we had is what we should have done. You know what I mean? So now if we're going to play Europa League or Conference League, it's just a detail. What I'm telling you is that no matter what we're going to play, we lost a very good opportunity to do things better. So now we have 2 weeks to go, and after these 2 weeks then we can evaluate how things. But what we have lost, and that's not coming back, was the chance of doing things better. The competition.
So, kind of in a way taking a dig out at the owner in a way in which he's like, we lost an opportunity. I think he wanted to sell Morgan Gibbs-White, bro. I actually think Pops wanted to sell Morgan Gibbs-White. Use that money, the Elanga money, and bring in some other quality. I don't think he just wanted to just keep them just because and give him a new contract when he know he could have gotten money and went after some players that can help them in not only in the league but in Europe. I don't think he's quite excited about his team, how they're going to play in Europe. And remember I tell you, if he ain't doing well in the first 10 weeks of the season, Nuno has just put himself on his head on a fucking stick, right, with this interview for sure. This interview here going to be the sinker of Nuno. Now, talking about sinking, we have Everton. My team moving into the new stadium. Now, for y'all that don't know, you can go onto Everton's website, type in the new stadium, go on Everton's website, you can do a virtual tour of the new stadium. So you can click different parts of the stadium, like when you buy a ticket for a concert or a show, or you're going to a game or whatever, you pick your section and you say, okay, this is where I want to sit. You're on GA25, whatever. Well, you can do the same on Everton's website with a virtual tour. So you can literally go and click each section of the stadium and see what it would look like sitting there. Beautiful. Check it out, people. I recommend it. I actually spent like 20 minutes doing it earlier. I wanted to actually do it interactive for you guys, but I was like, nah, I'll let you do it yourself. So yeah, Everton moving into their new stadium with their new players like Jack Grealish. So that should be a fun thing for them. I hope they can attract a bit more high quality players like Jack to go into that stadium and just create some momentum behind Everton that is going to be beautiful for years to come. I really hope they don't fight relegation this season. I hope that they can at least be a mid-table team, alright, doing well, fighting to just stay in the league to have a place to try to fight for Europe next season. I don't think it's far from David Moyes winning another Conference League with Everton as well. And for me, that will be even bigger than him winning for West Ham because of what David Moyes means to Everton, what he meant to Everton. To me, I only know David Moyes of Everton. Growing up, watching football, that long ball into his central attacking midfielder. Always love a big guy. Fellaini to Souček. Loves him, that big guy. And it's... and David Moyes just have his way of playing. And, all my life, I've just known this is how he plays. He's going to stick to this way. And I've watched... What has been beautiful as well is to watch how his football has evolved as a manager. It's evolved so much as a manager from the long ball into actually trying to play football, bring it down, playing in transitions, playing possessive football. I am so happy to watch David Moyes and how he's evolved as a manager, going to Spain, going in, he tried things. Think about old Englishman. Going to Spain as a manager. At the age at which he went to Spain as a manager, everybody's like, what are you doing, David Moyes? But it taught him a lot. And it gave him a network and an understanding of Latin players that you see him always now have at least a few in his team to bring that bit of grinta, samba-ish kind of vibe to his football. And that creativity and that big up to David Moyes for acknowledging that as him as a manager and developing as a manager, even if he was older and in his craft. You know, he didn't let that thing that happened at him at Manchester United do him anything. He got back up, Real Sociedad. You know, he tried. And I gotta respect David Moyes for that. Now, respecting David Moyes is also respecting another manager on the other side of the spectrum. The young manager for Brighton. Now, Brighton is a good football team. We know how they operate. We know what they bring to the game. They're really not trying to lose any more of their quality players, as they've lost, in my opinion, one of the best left backs in the league in Estupenya. I don't know how the Premier League teams allowed Estupenya to go to AC Milan. Bro, how did this man leave the league? So he goes there. Now they still have some young quality players like Baleba, who's being linked to Manchester United. We have Mitoma, Minta. You have the old boy in Danny Welbeck. You have some nice quality players there, and Brighton have some good momentum in which they can continuously be a club that is a feeder team for bigger clubs. And I think they're okay with that. I think they're okay with doing that, using those players, getting into Europe, playing a few games in Europe, lifting the price of those players to 60, 70, even to 100 million, because that's what you see Baleba being rumoured to Manchester United for. And they have a really good system going out there. They get their players by data analytics. They get their manager based on data. You know, and you can tell that a lot of these players are data-based, based on how, like, robotic in a way these Brighton players are. It's like, you know what you're getting with this player for sure, 100%. It's amazing. Like, I don't know why a lot of the big clubs can't run that way, but then that shows you how much of a pressure big clubs put on to players, and how much pressure players are said to have, you know, when they put themselves in a position of being in a big club. Because it's no longer just about there's no longer just about big you just being a player. You have to deal with the pressure of being at that club, the fan base. You have to deal with the quality in which you have to live your life now. You're no longer just a regular professional footballer. You are a global superstar. You know, that's another level of branding. That's another level of quality in which you have to show as a human being. So there's so many ways in which a professional has to change when they move from a smaller club to a big club. Not only with the level and the quality of the football, but just them as a brand. Now, this is what Baleba would have to do if he moved from Brighton to Manchester United. He would have to definitely change himself as an individual in terms of how he would have to move in the world now. He becomes one of the biggest stars in the world. He's a global brand. Everybody in the world know Manchester United. Most people in the world know a Manchester United player. So you can't just get away with just being mediocre and not doing right by who you are as a person. Now, Baleba, that would be a massive change for him going to United. And I think he would have shone. And I still think there might be a chance that United do this in the window. Now, hear me out. I don't want to talk too much about this because I want to break this down a bit more for you in the preview of United to Fulham. But United may still go after Baleba. That's all I'm saying. Word is, United may still go after Baleba this summer. Especially if they get to sell a few of those players that I see them rumored to sell. The Highlands, the Garnachos. They have that sale with the Glazers. All that happening. And I'm telling you right now, don't be surprised if you see on deadline day, United go in with a £100 million bid for Carlos Baleba. Alright then. I can just... United... And especially how this United moving... Every season on the Ferguson, and even Ed Woodward tried to keep that up. Every deadline day, United had a big signing on the window. Always brought in a signing on that window. On the Ferguson, it was a big thing. They always kill the media lines with having one of the biggest buys on that day. I hope they do it again. Please, do it again. Do it again while I'm on my way from Craven Cottage. Because United plays Fulham this weekend. Now, this is the game or the match of the mad Portuguese managers. Not only is Marco Silva a nutcase, but Ruben Amorim is a madman, right? Let me just make you all know that. Both managers, you can just, at the side of the pitch, probably sometimes more entertaining than the football game. One's always in a squat position. One's always walking up and down his technical area. Marco Silva, he always, Marco Silva has been banned. He's had an accumulation of too many yellow cards as a fucking manager, bro. This man is no joke. This man makes me laugh all the time. Marco Silva is actually one of my favorite managers in the league too. Like, my top 5 managers in the league, right, is Pep Guardiola, Oliver Glasner, Nuno, David Moyes, Ruben Amorim. Those are my managers, man. And Marco Silva. I really like these managers. Those are my favorite set of managers in the league. I don't care about no Ancelotti, Arteta. For me, Arteta is an overhyped manager. 1000%. Overhyped. There's no doubt. The most overrated manager in the world is Mikel Arteta. All the Arsenal fans can cut this. They can run this. They can say I'm biased as shit. Mikel Arteta is one of the most, if not the most, overrated manager in the league. It's him and it's Eddie Howe for me. Overrated. And Eddie Howe is overrated because he's English, so they really want to keep him in the league because he's one of the only managers that actually doing something. English managers doing something. And the other one is Arteta because he was on the Pep and he ended up having a good media and his PR, and so is really strong, Arteta. So that is why Arteta for me is overrated. But yeah, Manchester United versus Fulham is going to be a big game. I think both teams are really trying to find a little leg of form. As we know, it's the opening of the season. I can see a United really putting pressure on the Fulham. Fulham didn't look as good in that draw. They really pulled one out of the bag. And if they're going to be playing that way to get results, especially when they haven't gotten as many transfers in, they still have the same team from last season basically. I just don't see how they go to United. I just don't see how United go to Craven Cottage and don't pick up and don't even pick up a result. I just don't see it. Now, talking about results, not only is this team not getting results in the transfer market, but they're also probably not going to get a result on the pitch. But that is Newcastle United. Now, they're not getting results with their players because their best player wants to leave the club to go to the club they're going to play this weekend in Liverpool, which is why we call it the Alexander Isak derby. They're not getting any quality players in the window as so far, in which I don't know why, because why Newcastle hasn't gone after Nicholas Jackson yet, I don't know. I understand the price, but surely you can bid down Chelsea and get what you want. So it's just so much going on. Now on the other side, Liverpool are just looking in, laughing at Newcastle, taking a piss, if you ask me, because they actually know that Isak wants to leave. They've surely been talking to his agent, because that's what we do. We talk to teams all the time, right? Hey, you know how many teams I hit up on a daily for players? Like so many. would message, go out, even players that not even under the agency. I go out and I'll be like, yo, this player I just spotted, I think he can fit into your club here. It's all about, yo, I'm telling you, it's a different world in that game. We can sit on here and talk about it on another time, but I'm telling you right now, in that world with agents and teams, there's a lot of things people don't know and understand about the football black and white. Even me, just now I'm understanding everything. And there's so many things more to learn in terms of the black and white. Not on the pitch, don't get me wrong. I can sit down here and close my eyes and write up the world of football, tactics, analysis, all this. And the more and more this channel grow, I promise you people, is the more and more you all will see the level of attention to detail about football with this brain right here. Because honestly, I don't need a Netflix subscription. I don't need any subscription to watch movies and shows. I just need subscriptions that allow me to watch football. You know, I watch the FIFA Plus app, teams all over the world, CONCACAF region. I watch, I'm telling you, the FIFA Plus app, a lot of y'all don't even know that shit exists. You know what, football is free on that app. I watch so many football games from all over the world on that app, right? You have I don't need any subscriptions. I just love football. I would sit down here and talk football all day with everybody. You can put me on all the YouTube fan pages. I would just talk football all day. I can't get bored. I love that sport too much. I love it. So I understand what it's like to love a football game. And I also love a football team. But Alexander Isak isn't doing the same. You know, he doesn't really care about Liverpool, I think. The way he went about this, he could have still been training with the team. He could have still been integrated around the team. How is he going to walk in the dressing room after Newcastle going to tell him probably that he can't go to Liverpool, right? Because if Newcastle isn't happy about the players that they have to buy and how much money they have to spend, because they're going into a market now and people know they're desperate if they sell Isak. People could charge them a lot of money. It's just economics. You're desperate, I charge you more. You know, I ain't gonna give you a discount if I know you really need this. It doesn't work that way. You don't think that places give you discounts because they just want to give you something. But yeah, this is what Eddie Howe had to say really about the situation with Isak, because he's not happy about it. I don't think any Newcastle fan is happy about it, but this is briefly what he had to say about the situation.
Isak, and has anything changed over the last couple of days with his situation?
No, there's been no change.
So he, again, won't be part of your squad? Is that your expectation?
Yeah, no, he won't be part of the squad for this weekend's game.
Over the summer, you've answered a lot of questions about him, but earlier this week there was an exchange of words publicly. He published a statement. The club responded quite quickly. Is it helpful to you that there is now other communication about this situation coming from the club, coming from higher up?
Yeah, I'd always say my preference for these things is it doesn't happen publicly, because I think everything is better dealt with behind closed doors, but needs must, and in this situation the club has spoken, and probably justifiably so in that moment.
And is it still your hope that...
So basically, this man didn't want it all to blow out. Now he didn't want it to, he just wanted to deal with it inside the club. Now Eddie Howe is such a nice man. This is why I know some players really just don't want to play for Eddie Howe, because he's just too nice. People talk about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer being a PE teacher. If Ole is a PE teacher, Eddie Howe is the substitute. Trust me. Hey, let me pull up the main screen and tell y'all this right now. If Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was the PE teacher, Eddie Howe is the substitute teacher. Nobody can tell me different. They just, everybody used to say, oh, Eddie Howe isn't, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer isn't hard enough. He's so soft with these players, this. Yet still the best football Manchester United ever played since. They probably didn't win any trophies like what they did on the Tenor. But imagine if Tenor was playing the way Ole did and win trophies. He'd still be Manchester United manager right now. If you watch the compilation of the kind of goals in which United scored on the Ole, it's amazing, man. It's amazing. But Eddie Howe just give me that PE teacher vibe. You know, like, I can run over you anytime, bro. You don't talk to me like you're nobody. That kind of vibe. Now, this is the results in which, after I've broken down all the games to you, here's the results and my predictions of the games for the weekend. Yeah? So 3-1 against West Ham for Chelsea. I have City winning 3-1 versus Tottenham. 2-2 draw with Bournemouth. 2-1 Aston Villa beating Brentford. I have Burnley 2-1 losing to Sunderland. You know, I have Arsenal beating Leeds 2-0 at home. Actually believe that's going to be a Saka goal and assist. Hopefully Gyökeres can get off the sheet and people can shut up about him. There's Crystal Palace versus Forest. I think that'll be a draw. I think both managers, as I said earlier, it's going to be a very tactical draw. Both managers are going to cancel each other out. Both managers are going to try to just force each other to play into the way they want them to play. And not every manager tries to do that. You know, people might say, oh yeah, but every manager. No, not really. Some managers actually just counter what the other manager do. They don't really care about forcing him to play the way they want them to play. They actually go and impose the way they want to play on you and then force you to play another way. It doesn't have to be a way that they want you to play. So there's very much different dynamics towards approaching a football game. Now there's Everton versus Brighton. I just think Everton might edge that just because they're in their new stadium. Fulham against United. I can see United keeping a clean sheet. I honestly can. Against Arsenal, they never really gave up any chances. And I just don't think that Fulham attack is as hot enough to say, take on the United defense. Especially if United go with the lineup in which I think they will. Which I will drop in the preview of a United game later down in another video. And the Alexander Isak derby, just because of what's going on for Newcastle, the momentum, the hype, the energy, everything that's happening, I think that Newcastle may just edge this against Liverpool. Listen, Hugo Ekitike is a top talent, but Hugo Ekitike isn't Alexander Isak, which is why they want Isak. You understand? And I think that, yes, Newcastle don't have anyone yet that can do what Isak does. But I just think the intensity that they're going to play with, them being at home, all that's going on with Isak, the emotion and all that, it probably gives them a good chance for them to win the game. Now, talking about winning the game and talking about all that, that's been my predictions. But now I want to show you my prediction for my fantasy team, and then we'll end the show for you. So here is the fantasy team for me for the week. This is my team for a few reasons. I have Semenyo because I just think Semenyo is going to heat it up this weekend and this season. I think this season is going to be the season that Semenyo shows people why big clubs should have bought him. Cash as usual, always firing on target, getting assists. Dogo, I think, will get an assist this weekend. Cucurella, of course, he's a safe one to go with. Mbeumo against Fulham, it's toy food, so I went with him. Gibbs White against Aston Villa, Crystal Palace, just because Crystal Palace has losing a few players, and you know, Guy is about to leave, so he might not even play this weekend, and there's so many things happening. So I just think that Nottingham Forest and Gibbs White may just be able to edge one, or you know, he might be involved in the draw that I talked about. As usual, Haaland, Mateta, João Pedro, 3 strikers that will score goals, I reckon, this weekend. Each of them playing against teams that I can see that they can score against. So, hence I bought them. And as usual, Morgan Rogers, you know, he is Aston Villa's best player, no doubt. The next team that gets this guy, they're going to be happy. Very, very happy with what Morgan Rogers brings. He's literally another Mason Mount, Eze, that kind of profile. Can play left wing, can play right wing, can play central attacking wing, central attacking midfield, can play left centre midfield, right centre midfield. I think Morgan Rogers can even be an 8 if he wants to be. I just think he's that good. And at the end of the day, week 2 Premier League, hopefully it all shapes up, injury free, everyone does well, and also, of course, Manchester United win. But yes, people, it's been your boy Yahya coming to you live, as usual, as always, bringing you the great content going forward. Yes, people, it's here on the Oniaya. Have a good time, take care, and take care of yourself, my people.